here. And what I'm talking about this morning is the nature of the Trinity as we see it in nature. And I've been thinking, because the reason for doing it today is tomorrow is Trinity Sunday. Uh, and yet, one of the things that I'm passionate about and that so often seems to be missing in our celebrations of these seasons is the connection to nature. But as I've been thinking about it this week, boy, I have been overwhelmed and inspired by the presence of the Trinity in us, around us, in every aspect of nature. You think about it, the basic building block of each person, of each thing, the atom, has three basic elements to it. There's the nucleus that has the neutron and the proton in it, and then around those revolve the electrons. What a wonderful image of the Trinity. Every element, in fact, has three forms to it: gas, liquid, and solid. Wow, another image of the Trinity. 1 in 3, 3 in 1. And I love to reflect on this using the basic element that is really forms, I think, about 85% of who we are, is water. It comes in a gas form, it comes in a liquid form, it comes in a solid form. And a very simple way to reflect on this is to pour yourself a glass of water, put a couple of ice cubes in it, and then at the same time, boil a kettle of water. And just like that, you've got all three possibilities. Or you might want to boil the water and then put the ice into the hot water so you've got the steam coming off. You've got the liquid and you've got the solid. What a wonderful little reflection on the Trinity this makes. But, uh, it just shows how the very nature of God is woven into every single aspect of this universe in which we live, and is in the same way woven into our being as well. Now, as you know, the aspect of this that I really like to focus on is where we see God in nature, and the Trinitarian nature of God is lived out in so many different aspects of the garden. And one of the things that I like to do is to go around the garden looking for Trinitarian images. And of course, the most familiar one that we have is the three-leafed shamrock, or three-leafed clover, that St. Patrick is thought to have used as a model of the Trinity and for teaching about the Trinity. And unfortunately, I am meant to find a purple three-leafed clover, which is my favorite one. But at the moment, mine is in, let's say, it's just in a state of disrepair. But that's not the only place in which we see the Trinity. One of my favorites is the trillium lily, which unfortunately I don't have one of here in my garden at this point in time, but it's native to this part of the world. And it's just a beautiful image. Even its name, trillium, Trinity lily, is basically what it is called. But there are other species, as it were, that reflect this as well. And I did a quick walk around my garden looking for some of these. This, of course, is a pansy. And as you can see, it's got three basic colors in it. Now, this is a pansy that is probably a hybrid, so this isn't quite as obvious. But in Europe in the Middle Ages, one of the flowers that were used to represent the Trinity and were used as a way to talk about the Trinity was the wild pansy. Let me just look at it here, which was known as the Trinity flower. So, and you can still see the three basic colors. You've got white at the center, you've got the yellow, and you've got the purple in that. But there are other images. One of the ones that I love, look, that's just a strawberry leaf. And you can see, again, that beautiful Trinitarian kind of form to this leaf. The 3 in 1, the 1 in 3, represented here in the lowly strawberry leaf as well. Another plant that I found out used to be used as a teaching tool for the Trinity is the aloe plant, that great healing plant that has so many uses that all of us love to have. I have a huge one. I'll take a photo and add it onto this post when I post it. I have a huge one that I bring inside during the winter and then take outside again during the summer. But if you look at an aloe plant, you will see that the leaves always come out in threes. Again, I think it's beautiful to think that this wonderful healing plant is again a representation of the Trinity. And I'm sure that if you went walking around your garden, you would find a lot of other places in which the Trinity can be seen as well. This is one that I just picked up. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure what this is. But if you look at it, it has three, sorry, let me hold it up so that you can actually see it. Three basic leaf shapes to it there. You say, oh, there are more than three, which is true. But if you look at the major kind of divisions there, you'll see that it's in threes as well. And it's all over the place. And this was often a way, particularly in the Middle Ages, that people used to talk about the Trinity. Going out into the garden, going out into nature around them and looking for the things that reflected the nature of God. Now, they didn't know about atoms. And of course, they didn't realize that the very basic element of of every single part of this creation, the atom, is, you could say, a representation of the Trinity itself. So as you get ready for Trinity Sunday tomorrow, I know a lot of churches don't do much to celebrate this, but I think we should be celebrating it. And there's no better place to celebrate it, as far as I'm concerned, than out in nature. The Celts were very well aware of the Trinitarian nature of so many things that were around us, and they saw actually every clan and every family unit as a representation of the Trinity as well. A father, a mother, and kids, or whatever you want to say, one kid, not just one kid, but more kids, and they saw that as a representation of the Trinity too. So, as I like to do, I am going to finish this short section with this Celtic prayer that is one of my favorites as far as the representation of the Trinity is concerned. 3 folds of the cloth, yet only 1 napkin is there. 3 joints in the finger. There you are, another wonderful representation of the Trinity. Our finger, 3 joints of the finger, yet still only 1 finger fair. 3 leaves of the shamrock, yet no more than 1 shamrock to wear. Frost, snowflake, and ice, all in water their origin share. 3 persons in God, to 1 God alone we make prayer. So all kinds of ways to find the representation of the Trinity. Now, I must confess, I do wonder about that first line, 3 folds of the cloth, yet only 1 napkin is there. And I'm thinking, oh, very interesting that they actually use napkins. And I think this is probably not a very old prayer, but it's still a very useful prayer as we think about the Trinity, because I think that the Trinitarian nature of God is something that is very basic to our faith. And so it's wonderful, at least it's wonderful for me, to realize how many wonderful ways this is represented in creation around us and within our very being, even in our fingers. I think that's great. In fact, I remember when I shared this at a seminar at one stage, a woman came up to me afterwards and she said, my finger is frozen. She said, I love to quilt, but every time I quilt, I curse my finger because it gets in the way of the way that I do my quilting. But she said, because of what she said, I'm going to see that finger in a totally different light. I'm going to see it as representative of the Trinity, and I'm going to use it not as a point of curse, but a recognition of blessing. And I thought, how many things in our lives could we see as representation of blessing rather than curse if we recognize the incredible presence of God, the Trinity, in so many aspects of what we do and of what we see around us? So, what are the representations of the Trinity that you love to think about in nature? I'd love it if some of you would take photos and would post them after I put up this post, because I think that we need to see the way that the nature of God is woven into our whole creation and just be absolutely inspired by that in the way that I so often feel that I am. So let me just read this again as we finish. 3 folds of the cloth, yet only 1 napkin is there. 3 joints in the finger, yet still only 1 finger fair. 3 leaves of the shamrock, yet no more than 1 shamrock to wear. Frost, snowflakes, and ice, all in water their origins share. 3 persons in God, to 1 God alone we make prayer. Amen. And have a wonderful day looking for the Trinitarian nature of God in everything that you see around you.